Okay, so in the military, not everything's good, not everything is necessarily bad. It's kind of all about perspective. It's about the type of person you are. In this video, we're really going to talk about some things that might change your mind about joining the military, some things that might get you kicked out, some things that you might want to give a second thought to before you join the military. Because some of these, the military is one of those things where you sign a contract. If you can't get through that whole contract, well, you can get out of the military, but it's a long process. It's a shitty process. You can miss out on a lot. So watch this video, because if some of these things apply to you, you might want to give it a second thought. You might want to be like, okay, then this is really not for me. I don't want to go through this aspect of it. But at the end of the day, we're pretty in support of the military. We're thankful for what we did, and you get a lot of benefits out of it. So if you can, push through some of these things, if you can live without some of these things, then the military is a really great option. But if not, then you might want to give it a second thought.
Mm-hmm. And if you guys are already in the military or you know us, we encourage you guys to watch it too, just because there are some pretty entertaining things in there, and you definitely will be able to relate to this. And if you know anybody who is looking to join the military, you could probably tell them about this video or explain some of the things that happened to us, and you're like, yeah, that definitely fucking happened.
Okay, so the first thing for a reason for why you should not join the military is really if you're a lazy type of person. Everyone's got different work ethic levels and everything, but in the military, you're probably going to work a lot of hours, at least 40 hours a week, if not more. You've got duty days, and you have to stay and watch, and that's in addition to you working a normal Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week type of job. So the hours that you work in the military are really fluid. Some weeks you can be just working Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week, maybe even less. You might be doing like 30 hours a week. But some other times you might be working 80 hours, 100 hours. So if you can't adapt and be willing to change your schedule like that, it's shitty. We don't all like to work. Like, I don't like to work. I don't want to do that. That's what the job requires. And the military might not be for you if that's something that you're not okay with being able to adapt to.
Those duty days that you're going to have, depending on what branch or where you're stationed, typically you're going to have to be staying there for 24 hours. And, that doesn't mean you're going to be working for that full 24 hours. I mean, you're going to have some sleep time, but you do have to stay at your station and your watch for 24 hours. And if you leave, you can definitely get reprimanded in the military, and they don't take that shit lightly. Don't be lazy, and especially if you got work to do on those duty days, definitely do those work, because you putting off work is just going to offload that work to somebody else, and you're not going to be helpful to the team and the mission. A lot of this work is honestly just a bunch of bullshit. Like, it could be like sweeping, painting, drilling, whatever it is. But no matter how dumb it is, you still got to do it.
And if you're deployed or something, you don't necessarily get weekends off. That should just be pointed out. Usually, most branches will give you Sunday off as like a holiday routine type thing is what they call it. But if your watch lands on that day, then you're obviously going to have to stand that watch. Watches need to be manned 24 hours a day, so it really goes into rotation. And if that lands on your day off, then it lands on your day off. And that's the same thing if you're stateside, not deployed. If your duty day lands on Saturday or Sunday, you're going to have to stand duty on that day. So for that week, you work 6 days out of the week, or you could work 7 days out of the week. It's, again, really fluid based off of what's going on in your specific situation.
Don't join the military if you think that you matter. I mean, honestly, you don't really matter in this world anyways, but especially in the military, if you fuck up a lot, they're definitely gonna reprimand you or either kick you out, or you're gonna get your pay reduced, or be on some type of restriction.
Yeah, it's not like how it is in the movies, where it's like like Tom Cruise is like flying around and he can just do whatever the fuck he wants to do, and like people are like, oh, like don't do this again, Tommy.
I am dangerous.
Like it's like, no, it's not like that. Like even if you pull your weight, even if you're a good worker and you fuck up, you smoke weed and you pop for it or something, the military is going to kick you out. Like, they don't give a shit. Like, you gotta understand that, like, that's a duality, right? It's good and it's bad, because the military cares more about the collective than the individual. It's cool to be part of a group like that, because you're actually doing things that are like very technical, very advanced, like crazy stuff that most people won't do, and you're part of this group and you like really feel like a community. So at the same time with that, that's what the military needs to do, right? It's about the collective working together to get something like bigger done, like a mission, right? So If you as an individual are not pulling your weight or you're messing up, the Navy's like, well, for the sake of the collective, you're out of here.
And one way to like kind of get around that mentality and still be motivated to do the work is build those relationships with those people around you. There is a hierarchy essentially in the military, and that's based off how hard you work, how qualified you are, and how much you're willing to do more. It doesn't really matter, like no one gives a fuck where you come from, how much fucking barrels of hay you threw before the military, or how many bitches you pulled. Like no one gives a fuck. If you do your work and you do it well and you help the people around you, then you're gonna gain that respect.
So if you have the intention of quitting, or really what I mean by that is breaking your contract early, then the military is probably not for you, because there's a few reasons for that. One, it's because, the process to get out of the military is actually pretty long. It's not like you can just be like, oh, I want to quit, and you're out in like a couple days. I've seen it take people a year to get out of the military and to process them out. With that is like, if you don't do your whole contract, then you miss out on a lot of benefits. How the GI Bill works, like the college thing, the free college, if you do a certain amount of days, you get a certain portion of it, but not all benefits are like that. So you might miss out on a lot of really good benefits because you didn't want to, complete the last year of your contract. And then you think that you're going to quit and get out, and that process takes 8 months, and then you're 4 months shy of being able to get your full benefits and completing your contract. I've seen that happen to people. Going back to the collective thing, right? Like you've got a lot of people who are relying on you. You have a job that needs to be filled, and the military has has allocated these jobs to these people. And so if you're not doing your job, then really that work still has to get done, and that's just going to fall on the shoulders of people around you. And that's kind of like a shitty thing to do. So if you're just going to go in with the mentality that you're not going to complete your contract and you're not going to honor it, then you really have to rethink about that, or just maybe the military is not for you. But with that though, if you feel like you need to get out of the military because you're mentally unstable, or you're severely depressed, then that's a different situation, and I would encourage you to get help, because no one wants to see you take harmful action against yourself.
And that kind of brings us to our next point, is don't join the military if you have depression or some type of mental disorder or bipolar disorder. These are serious things, and being in the military is definitely gonna it's going to amplify those effects. The military doesn't like to talk about it a lot, but there are a lot of suicides, and I know plenty of people in the military who have been personally affected from mental health, or people that they knew that committed suicide.
If you get out and you're really struggling to adapt, or you just got in the military and you're struggling to adapt, well, there's a lot of people who are fucking assholes. They're gonna beat you up even more. But for the bulk majority of it, there's a lot of good people out there, and that's kind of where you want to build a good, wholesome community. And we all fuck with each other, we all joke with each other, we all call each other names and fuck with each other, but at the end of the day, I would have anybody's back who I worked with. They're not just gonna let you fail and fall. So we kind of wanted to highlight that aspect of it, because it doesn't really get talked about a lot.
The way to get through those hard times, you're gonna have a lot of difficult times in the military, and to get through that is talking to other people around you and that dark humor. So if you can't handle dark humor, and if you're gonna be politically correct around everything, that's not gonna benefit you. That's just the nature of the culture, and that's how people get through dark times.
And with the mentally unstable thing, there's as we get more educated about this in our society and our culture, you kind of realize that a lot of people might be on the spectrum a little bit. And if you're in the military, or you're gonna go into the military, you might think it's a little crazy, but you're gonna probably see people who you'd be like, okay, this person's probably on the spectrum, and it's if you are on the spectrum and you're trying to, fucking do something with your life, you're not letting it hold you back, and you just want to be this is just something I gotta deal with, and I'm just gonna, make the best of it, then fucking by all means, join the military. You can still be in the military. It shouldn't be a joke that you're oh, you're on the spectrum, so you can't be in the military. There's a lot of different jobs. You can do it. Mm-hmm. But just, I just wouldn't bring that up. I wouldn't tell anyone, just be you. You're just a normal fucking person, you might have some things you gotta struggle with socially or something, but it's try and build something for your life, and if you know someone around you who might be like that, you shouldn't fucking be making fun of them. We all make fun of each other with different stuff, but it's stuff where it's it's in a joking way. It's it's in a way where it's not hurtful towards someone's personal qualities that they can't change about themselves, you know. So if you know someone around you, just don't say anything about it, you know. Let them fucking build something with their life, and like if they have a fucking personal struggle that they're going through like that, just fucking let them be.
So another reason why you probably shouldn't join the military is honestly if you want to keep your hair. Like, the military is a stressful job, and a lot of people lose their hair through it. You know, my hair is fucking fake. We got our hair after the military online. We actually have a promo code on getyourhairnow.com/Donald J. Trump. So if you guys want to use that promo code, we are, you know, affiliates of
10% off link in the description.
So yeah, it is a stressful job. So there is a possibility of losing your hair depending on, you know, your genetics and how stressed out you are.
Yeah, but you know, it's like we've reiterated it multiple times. You know, like the military is really about a collective. You're part of a team, right? So if you have a really stressful job, you know, there's no reason to overstress yourself out about it and let that start affecting you like mental health wise, physically, like with your hair. So if you're having a problem handling your workload, then you can always talk to a supervisor about it. And you know, sometimes they'll help distribute the workload. Sometimes it's just something you're gonna have to like suck up and deal with. But again, that goes to what we were talking about earlier. It's just kind of being adaptive with that workload. You know, if something's hard, you're gonna get used to it and you're gonna grow even more. And you know, a lot of people come out of the military being like, nothing I'm ever going to do in my life is as hard as being in the military, which, you know, that can scare you a little bit because you might be like, oh, this sounds like it's going to be hard. The military is hard. But yeah, I mean, it's really good because once you get out, you know, it's like, oh, I got to work 40 hours a week. That's no problem at all. You beat yourself up for it now, but don't get to the point where it's starting to affect you mentally or physically. You know, talk to someone about it.
Yeah, it is very difficult. Not only physically, you're going to do a lot of heavy lifting, but it is mentally straining, and it comes in different forms. So if you can be able to learn how to deal with that early on in the military, once you get out, you're going to find that a lot of different jobs or types of work is going to be a lot easier for you. And that's why the civilian sector, I mean, appreciates the military so much.
Alright, so you might not want to join the military if you don't like war or you don't like America. But if you don't like America, then you can get the fuck out of here. But no, like really though, if you have like a moral obligation, or like you have a moral opposition, that's a better word, to war, to America or something, then I mean, that's fine. You know, we all have our opinions and everything. But the thing is, you know, the military is probably gonna make that worse because, you know, we might not always be at war, but if you do go to war, then it's still your job to kind of participate in this. And I mean, obviously the military is like a war organization, war fucking environment, right? So you kind of have to be okay with that, and you still have to do your job because that's what you signed up for, you know. And if you have opinions about the country or the president or about war or something, you got to kind of realize that when you join the military, kind of ironic, but you give up a lot of your personal freedoms, and one of those is freedom of speech. You can't just be mouthing off your opinion about the president and everything because he's like the commander-in-chief. You can't be mouthing off about America. You know, a lot of people do, and a lot of people are able to get away with it. If the wrong person hears that, then you know, you can get fucked for it.
It's kind of dumb if you're going to join the military and you don't support the military. I mean, it's just, I don't know how else to say that, but you know, there are a lot of people that join, and they do have those like conflicts of you know, personal beliefs with the government and the military. And you know, if you are like that, that's okay, but you just have to understand that like being able to voice that in a public space, especially if you're going to do it online or whatever, that can definitely fall back on you. But for us, we don't really give a fuck because we're veterans. And what are they going to do? Send us to fucking Guantanamo Bay?
Yeah. Yeah, and that leads us into the next one. You know, it's like if you hate communism, then the military is probably not for you. Which is kind of fucking ironic because, you know, it's like, you know, we don't fucking like communism, right?
Hey, fuck communism!
We're fucking Americans, right? We fucking don't like communism. But a lot of the environment in the military is like really, it's like a communist environment almost, you know? Like everyone gets paid based off of not what their job is, but based off their rank. You know, you all get the same pay, and it's kind of annoying because, you know, some people might be working a lot more, some people might have a lot harder job, but you're still going to get paid based off your rank and not based off your job. A lot of people don't understand that. You might get like a sign-on bonus, sure, but at the end of the day, your regular pay, it's not gonna change based off of how hard your job is or how much you work.
And that's going to be really frustrating, especially if you're like, you know, in engineering operating a nuclear reactor, and you see some idiot getting paid the same as you, and they can't fucking fry eggs to save their life.
And you kind of eat like a commie too, you know, like there's not the best food in the military. It's probably going to be the shittiest food you're ever going to have in your life. I remember all the time, you know, I would go into like the chow line and try and get, you know, some food, and they don't have fucking anything. They just have like rice and syrup. And like that's all there is to fucking eat. It's like really weird. Or it's like you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna eat this food with a fork because I'm a normal person, but they don't have any forks. So all they have is just like 1,000 butter knives, and you have to be like, well, okay, I'm gonna use these butter knives like chopsticks and just scoop it into my mouth, and that's kind of how it is.
You know, it's fucking stupid too, because like they'll have these charts of what's healthy and what's not healthy at the chow line, and you're like, oh, okay, I need a balanced diet, and then all you see is trays of carbs, just like rice, potatoes, more potatoes.
And it's pretty shitty, you know, but it makes for good stories later on. Again, we said it earlier, you know, it's like a lot of the stuff that you go through in the military, it's going to be like the hardest shit you've ever had to deal with in your life. You know, you hear people complaining about some food at McDonald's or something, and you're like, dude, you don't even know. One of the big things about being in the military is most people you're going to see are not very politically correct. They're not very PC. And that's kind of how that environment is. You know, there's you hear people say some insane shit, you know, some raunchy stuff. They cuss a lot, we cuss a lot. And, you know, it doesn't make all of it right, everything people say. But, you know, you're kind of in that environment where it's like a different community, and you can kind of say whatever you want, and, you know, people aren't really going to judge you. I mean, there's definitely some things where people push some shit too far, and they say some stuff where they're just like, dude, that's not cool. You make a lot of dark jokes, you make a lot of, like, funny, fucked up jokes, and it kind of helps you get through these times, you know?
We mentioned this previously in our other video about reasons to join the military. The military can be professional, and you do have to be professional. A lot of times it is, like from shining your boots to maintaining your uniform. Like, no joke, like you do have to be professional and maintain that, but you have to be able to flip that switch when that time calls for it. But, you know, there are a lot of times when you're just hanging out with a bunch of people the same rank as you, or, you know, people who are at your level, and you guys are going to make a lot of dark jokes, a lot of politically incorrect things, and that's part of the community aspect of it. So it is cool in a way, but just know that, like, if you are PC, you're gonna have a tough time. And
you know, once you get out, you're definitely gonna miss that environment, whether you are really PC with some stuff or you're not. And that's one reason why we kind of made this channel, was because you get out and you kind of feel like isolated. You don't really feel part of the real world anymore, just because you're always in that environment. And you know, it's good to be able to flip that switch in a professional setting. But whenever you kind of meet someone out in the civilian world, and you're like, oh, you used to be in the military, you automatically have like a connection with those people, and you're like, okay, I can say whatever I want, you know, we can joke about whatever, and you're not really going to judge me because you know what it was like, I know what it was like, and you can really feel like a strong personal connection to people like that.
So yeah, it is a stressful. My lips dry and smacking. So yeah, it is a stressful job, and there is a possibility